It started with a whisper across space. A faint signal, barely noticeable. No one on Earth knew it had already been heard by something ancient, something watching. On a quiet Tuesday morning, the skies above Earth began to change. From South America to Europe, people looked up in shock. At first, it seemed like shooting stars' bright lines of fire racing across the sky. But they didn't fade. They got bigger, closer, slower. In the streets of New Delhi, children pointed at the sky. In Johannesburg, traffic came to a standstill. Over the Pacific, satellites blinked and died. The sky was not just full of light. It was full of objects. Thousands of them, big ones, ships, alien ships. Panic spread faster than the fire in the sky. News channels struggled to stay online. Air traffic control went silent. Cell towers collapsed one by one as a strange pulse of energy disrupted everything. No one knew where the ships had come from. There had been no warning, no message, no signal. They had just arrived, and they didn't stop. From the edge of Earth's orbit, the alien armada spread out like a swarm of metal locusts. Long, spiked vessels moved in formation, silent, glowing with blue plasma. Their design was brutal. Weapons mounted on every side, engines burning with antimatter fire. At the center of the formation was a ship larger than any human city. Its name, translated from their tongue, meant the Deliverer of Ends. Inside that monstrous flagship stood Supreme Commander Vex Rao, a tall, four-eyed alien from the Varnok Empire. His skin was armored, his breath smoky. He watched Earth through a wide display screen and gave a single nod. Begin planetary suppression. Double quotes, no voice, only thought. Their command system worked through neural links. One by one, the warships charged their weapons. On Earth, chaos had already begun. People ran. Some prayed, some screamed. Some froze. In Washington, D.C., the president was rushed underground. In Moscow, military satellites went blind. In Beijing, fighter jets launched, but they were powerless against what hovered above. But somewhere deeper hidden, under 2 miles of Greenland, something else had woken up. Project Thor, a defense system built long ago, forgotten by the world. It had been silent for over 100 years. But not anymore. In a dark, frozen bunker, blinking lights returned to life. Screens lit up. Systems hummed. The ancient I spoke with a voice like distant thunder. Threat level, extinction. Activating global countermeasures. Sending alert to Defense Command. Wake the Titans. Far beneath the ocean, in a base that didn't officially exist, Admiral Lyra Cade opened her eyes. Her cryo chamber hissed open. She stepped out, cold steam rising from her armored suit. She had been sleeping for 50 years, waiting for the one signal she feared would come. It had come. She didn't panic. She smiled. The cowards finally showed up. All across the planet, hidden bunkers, satellites, orbital stations, and deep space weapons came online. Earth hadn't been defenseless. It had simply been quiet. For centuries, Earth's best minds worked in secret. While the galaxy mocked them, Earth had prepared in silence, built new weapons, tested AI war brains, created space-folding drives, and nano-reactive armor, and they had hidden it all. Now, it was time. Back in orbit, Vex Rao watched as a massive plasma cannon aimed toward Earth. It charged for 12 seconds. It fired once. Beam of pure white light raced down through the clouds, heading for New York City. And then, something happened. The beam bent. It curved mid-air. Redirected. A massive silver object had moved into its path. It absorbed the beam and fired back. The alien flagship shook. Sparks flew. Dozens of smaller ships exploded on impact. What is that?" shouted one of the Varnok officers. Vex Rao stared at the screen. The object in front of them wasn't alien. It was human. A single ship, sleek, dark, shaped like a spear. On its side was a symbol of a wolf surrounded by stars. Its name appeared on enemy scans, ERS Erebus, but that name hadn't existed on any public Earth database. No known records. No blueprints. Vexral narrowed his eyes. How? On board Erebus, Captain Rhys Maddox stood on the bridge. His eyes were cold. His uniform carried no medals, only scars. All batteries online? He asked, ready to fire. His AI co-pilot responded. Plasma lances, quantum mines, rail coil primed. Rhys nodded. Send the message. A burst signal left the ship. All around the planet, it was received by hidden Earth satellites. And then, Earth fired back. Not with one ship. Not with 10. But with thousands. From beneath the oceans. Giant mechanical ships rose. From inside mountains, weapons unfolded like metal flowers. From the dark side of the moon, huge cannons rotated, targeting the alien fleet. And from Mars, a fleet emerged, the secret Martian defense Armada. Long thought to be a myth, the aliens were stunned. This wasn't a desperate planet gasping for help. This was a trap. Above Tokyo, a dozen alien ships hovered, preparing to land troops. But before they could descend, the clouds ripped open. A beam of kinetic rods dropping at Mach 15 sliced through them like paper. No explosions. Just sudden, clean death. In London, citizens gathered in underground bunkers. The sky was a battlefield. But Earth's orbital lasers vaporized every dropship that tried to reach the ground. In the Amazon, giant mechs walked out. From hidden jungle bases, launching MP blasts into the sky. It was a slaughter, but only of the invaders. Inside his burning flagship, Vexral couldn't believe what he was seeing. This is impossible. He growled. One of his lieutenants trembled. Commander, our ships are falling. They knew. They planned for this. He turned to the screen. Zoomed in on the human vessel EREBUS. It was moving faster than any ship should. Jumping from one place to another without using gates. They have jump tech. Independent jump tech. An officer cried. Vexral's confidence shattered. We were lied to, he whispered. Earth was never weak. Back on Earth, inside a war room beneath Iceland's ice shelf, Admiral Cade stood before a giant HOLO-map. She watched as Red Dot's enemy ships began disappearing one by one. Report? She asked calmly. 72% of the alien fleet destroyed. 0 losses on our side. Send a reply, she said. Make it short. The comms officer nodded. A single signal was transmitted directly to the alien. Flagship. The message appeared in Vexral's command screen. You wanted war. You got Earth instead. And as the last line of fire rained from the sky, the people of Earth watched in awe. Not in fear, because the truth was finally clear. Earth was not just a blue planet with oceans and cities. It was a fortress, and it had just woken up. The alien fleet had made its move. They thought Earth would fall quickly. They believed their technology was unmatched. They were wrong, and their first mistake was underestimating how fast Earth could hit back. Supreme Commander Vexral stood, still in the center of his burning command deck. Sparks rained from the ceiling. The bridge was filled with smoke. Dozens of his officers lay dead, crushed by collapsed supports or fried by power surges. But Vexral didn't scream. He didn't move. He was trying to understand how a primitive world had just destroyed 32 warships in under 4 minutes. Earth had answered an invasion with something worse than war, a perfectly timed trap. In their first strike, the Varnoke Empire had awakened a sleeping monster, A second alien wave had been waiting near Saturn. Reinforcements. 3 full squadrons. 70 warships. All ready to enter orbit and finish what the first Armada started. But something strange happened. They disappeared. No distress calls. No explosions. Just silence. A black zone of nothingness around Saturn. The Varnock fleet sent a scout drone to investigate. It never came back. Not even a signal. Just gone. Back on Earth, Admiral Lyra Cade stared at a holoscreen in her command bunker. Saturn Trap had worked. Human stealth satellites, codenamed Black Arrows, had created a gravity distortion field around the planet's rings. Anything that entered would be torn apart at a molecular level. No explosions. No sound. Just quiet destruction. One of her officers spoke. Saturn's clean. 70 confirmed eliminations. No survivors. Cade nodded. Status of Erebus? The officer looked impressed. It's still hunting. Picking off anything that tries to hide. Up in orbit, the ERS Erebus floated through debris. It moved silently. Calmly like a shark in dark waters. Inside the bridge, Captain Rhys Maddox stood with arms crossed. His face was cold. Focused, calculating. Beside him stood his co-pilot. An AI named Naira, voice without form, projected into his ear through a neural link. Enemy flagship still in low orbit, Naira said. It's trying to move below radar range. Rhys smirked. Trying to act invisible after setting the sky on fire? He tapped the console. Let's end their game. The ship moved without engines. Without light. It simply vanished and reappeared 100 kilometers above the alien flagship. A soft sound clicked in the control panel. Target locked. Naira said. Rhys didn't speak. He didn't need to. The Erebus fired. The alien flagships. Hull shook violently. The impact came not from the front, but from within. A dark spear of antimatter had tunneled straight through the side of the ship and detonated inside the engine room. Half the ship went dark. Vex Rao stumbled. Smoke filled the hallways. Where did it come from? He yelled. No one answered. His sensors were blind. His fleet was running. His own officers looked at him not with loyalty, but fear. The Varnock had never lost a war, until now, across Earth, the people began realizing something. The invasion wasn't just being stopped, it was being reversed, all over the world. The alien ships that had descended in the first wave were now being hunted. In Brazil, human mech soldiers leapt through rainforests, slicing alien landing pods with plasma swords. In Egypt, prototype tanks emerged from underground vaults, rolling silently, firing beams that turned enemy armor to dust. In space, dozens of alien cruisers tried to retreat. They couldn't, because something followed them. Something human. On the far side of Earth's orbit, another ship emerged from stealth. Its name, ERS Deliverance. It was larger than EREB-US. Slower. It wasn't meant for speed. It was meant for annihilation. A city-sized cannon extended from its front. It began charging quietly, drawing power from a micro-singularity core. Inside its bridge, Commander Anya Solari gave the order. Target, fleeing enemy vessels near Lunar Shadow. Fire when ready. The cannon unleashed a silent beam of black energy. The sky tore open. Alien ships vanished. No explosion. No wreckage. Just erased. Meanwhile, one of the alien generals, Commander Brasktal, sent a panicked message to Vex Rao. Their weapons. They don't even leave wreckage. We can't study them. We can't track them. This isn't a battle. It's a message. Vex Rao responded with rage. Then send everything. Full retreat is not an option. We take Earth, or we die trying. But deep inside, even he knew. It was already too late. On Earth, Hidden eyes watched everything. Inside an old observatory in Iceland, a blind man sat before a wall of data. He wore an old coat. His face was wrinkled, but his eyes, though white, seemed to see more than others. His name was Dr. Elian Trask, one of the last founders of Project Obsidian, a group that had prepared Earth for this day. He whispered to himself, "They thought we were still the same. Earth they mapped 100 years ago." He touched an old globe. "We changed. We grew teeth." Above Tokyo, a new alien cruiser tried to drop soldiers again. This time, Earth's response was different. It didn't fire missiles. It sent one person. A human in a sleek black exosuit dropped. From orbit. No parachute. No engines. Just free fall. His name was Darren Vox, a soldier from Earth's elite Void-born division. He landed on the ship like a thunderbolt, pierced its hull, entered through the engine core. 60 seconds later, the entire ship fell, burning, into the ocean. He walked out from the wreckage, still silent. In the command bunker, Admiral Cade watched everything unfold. She didn't celebrate. She didn't cheer. She knew this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. "They made a mistake," she said to her officers. "They thought our silence was weakness." One of the officers nodded. "We should strike back, hit their staging base, their fleet command." Cade paused. "Not yet." "Why not?" She looked up at the war map. Because it showed something new. Signal. Far away. Coming from deep space. Bigger. Darker. Worse. In the remains of the Varnock flagship. Vex Rao stood near a window. He watched as his ships fell, burning, breaking, fleeing. But he still believed one thing. This is not the end. Earth has revealed its hand too early, and the Empire will not forget. Then came the voice from behind. Not human. Not Varnock, but something else. You were warned. Vex Rao turned in shock. A shadow stood there, robed, glowing with red eyes. Being the galaxy feared, but never named. "We told you Earth was not ready, that waking it would bring imbalance." Vex Rao stepped back. What are you?" The being smiled. "A consequence." And as Earth's forces pushed the last alien ships into the void. The galaxy trembled. Because the humans had not just defended themselves. They had crushed the invaders. Instantly. And now, the galaxy would have to face the truth. Earth was no longer prey. Earth was the storm. There was a strange stillness in the space near Saturn. No radio waves. No heat. No movement. Just a quiet death. It was called the Silent Zone by Earth's war monitors. A place where 70 alien warships had disappeared without leaving a trace. No explosions. No distress beacons. No wreckage. Just nothing. To the galaxy. It made no sense. To Earth. It was perfect design. 12 hours earlier, the Varnock Empire had sent its second wave of ships toward Earth. It was a backup force, stationed near Saturn's orbit. This fleet was stronger than the first, heavily armed, led by one of their most trusted war commanders, Admiral Draxon Tour. His orders were clear: crush Earth's resistance. Finish what Vex Rao started. But the moment his ships crossed Saturn's outer orbit, something went wrong. Very wrong. Draxon Tour's fleet flew in perfect Varnock formation. Layered triangles, protected by energy shields and scout drones. The Admiral didn't expect trouble. The first fleet might have been careless, but he was not. He trusted their scanners. Trusted the data. He didn't trust Earth, which is why he sent a probe first. A small scout ship zipped ahead, passing between Saturn's icy rings. 3 minutes. Later, nothing. Not even static. Probe offline, one officer reported. Drax on Tour frowned. Launch 3 more. They obeyed. Again. Silence. The Admiral stood from his command chair. His black armor gleamed under the dim red lights of the bridge. "This is not normal," he said, and then the stars themselves began to blink above the rings of Saturn. Human technology moved like shadows. Earth had placed a secret defense grid. In the Saturn system decades ago coded name, Silent Veil, a network of cloaked satellites, stealth drones, and a massive hidden platform inside the moon Enceladus. These weren't warships. They were weapons of erasure, built not to fight, but to delete. Back in Earth's high-orbit war room, Admiral Lyra Cade received a message from the Veil. She didn't speak at first. She just stared at the data. 72 confirmed alien vessels, her officer said, entering Saturn space. "And?" she asked calmly. "Target lock in 30 seconds. She nodded. "Begin blackout protocol." At that moment, Earth cut off all communication with the Saturn region. No human ship would enter. No signal would go out, because what was about to happen would happen in complete silence. Traxenture's ships moved deeper into Saturn's orbit. They were still confused, but not afraid. Not yet. Until something began tearing through their hulls. Without light, without sound, one by one, their ships imploded, crushed by invisible pressure waves. Some were split in half. Others just vanished, like being erased from reality. The officers screamed. They didn't know what to fire at. There was nothing to see, just the cold stars and a silent death. Back on Earth, in a small AI core center in Antarctica, an artificial intelligence named Phaedra monitored the results. Her glowing white interface blinked slowly as data fed in. Her voice echoed through the icy chamber. "Saturn sector clean. Alien force neutralized. Total loss 0. Galactic probability update. Earth threat level upgraded." Phaedra wasn't just watching. She was calculating. In the Varno capital system, light years away, the High Council was in chaos. Messages from Vex Rao were already disturbing. But now, Admiral Draxentur was silent. One of the council leaders shouted, "How can Earth do this? They were supposed to be primitive." Another replied, "They've hidden everything. Their technology, their defenses, their entire evolution." The Empress of the Varnoak Empire, seated on a throne of iron bones, finally spoke. Her voice was cold. "Earth is not what we were told. We have walked into a shadow. And shadows do not bleed. But not everyone was afraid. Some were curious. Deep in another part of the galaxy, a hooded figure watched the destruction of the Varnog fleet over Saturn on an ancient viewing stone. Not a screen. A stone. He was not human. Not Varnog. His eyes glowed blue. His skin was gray like stone. And on his forehead, a symbol burned like fire, an ancient sigil of a forgotten species. "They woke up," he whispered, "and they're angry." Back in orbit above Earth, the ERS Erebus returned from hunting. Captain Res Maddox entered the dark briefing chamber. Inside, other Titan-class captains waited. Each had led their own ship into battle. Some were older than him, some younger, but none had ever seen Earth fight like this. "I take it we've made an impression," one captain said. Reese sat down. "We've done more than that," he replied. "We've sent a message." "Then why does it feel like they're still coming?" Because they were. In the remains of the first alien fleet, a single escape pod floated through space. Inside was a Varnock soldier, young, injured, terrified. He had seen what Earth did. He had watched the ships fall, not with explosions, but with nothing. He whispered to himself, over and over, "We should have never come. We should have never come." Suddenly, a shadow passed in front of his pod. A shape, metal. Sharp. Human. Back in Earth's classified bunker, Admiral Cade received a new report. "Admiral," an officer said, voice tense, "we've detected a larger fleet gathering." "Where?" on the edge of the galaxy, near the Varnock home systems. She stared at the screen. Was massive. 10 times the size of the original fleet. But it wasn't just the VARNOK. There were others. Species Earth hadn't seen in decades. Old enemies. Old threats. They're uniting, she said. Why? She looked toward the hologram of Earth, because they were afraid. Because now they knew, if Saturn had gone silent, and Earth would never scream. It would just strike back. The Varnock Empire had never suffered a defeat like this. Not in 1,000 star cycles. Not even against the Oricus plague swarm. And yet, Earth, a planet they labeled primitive, had destroyed 2 fleets in less than 20 hours. But instead of surrendering, the Empire made a choice. They summoned General Threx's Barn, known across the galaxy as the Butcher of Echaron Prime. He had turned entire moons into dust. He had cracked planets like fruit. He didn't care about politics or prisoners. Only results. Now he was given one order: burn Earth until it begs. Threx's Barn stood over 10 feet tall, with 6 cybernetic limbs and eyes that glowed red, with constant rage. His armor was made from crushed enemies' polished bone and black steel. As his warship entered Earth's star system, he didn't wait. He sent a transmission, not a warning, not a demand. Just a message. Your lies of strength are over. I have come to remind you of fear. It echoed across every satellite still working, broadcasted in every known language. The world heard it. And Earth responded with silence. In a dark chamber below the mountains of Norway, Admiral Lyra Cade didn't flinch. She stood before a command map showing Threx's Barn's approach. He's making noise, one officer said, louder than the others. Cade's eyes narrowed. Because he doesn't understand what's waiting for him. Behind her, Earth's Titan fleet was being REARMED. But they weren't going to be used yet. Cade had something else in mind, something personal. Meanwhile, Captain Rhys Maddox aboard the ERS Erebus reviewed Threx's Barn's past battles. Fights with brute force, he said. Crush and burn. No strategy, just overwhelming power. Naira, the ship's AI, responded. He assumes Earth has no more secrets left. Rhys gave a small grin. Then let's give him one. As Threx's Barn's Armada entered Earth's orbit, he launched 20 dreadnoughts straight toward the surface. No scanning. No formation. Just pure aggression. One of his lieutenants warned him, we have no intel on their remaining defenses. He growled. They used tricks before, but I crush tricks with force. His ships aimed straight for major cities: London, Moscow, Beijing, Lagos, Sydney. He thought he could shatter Earth's heart. He didn't know. He was flying straight into a net. At that moment, Earth's defense satellites activated a system never used before. Project Medusa. Medusa wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense. It was a field of invisible nanotech drones floating across the upper atmosphere like dust. When triggered, they linked together, forming razor-thin webs of electromagnetic death. Anything passing through them at high speed would be shredded. The alien dreadnoughts screamed toward Earth, glowing with fire. Then suddenly they stopped. No, not stopped. Torn apart, one by one. Their ships exploded without being touched. REXUS Barn stared in disbelief. There was no projectile, no laser. His officers screamed, we don't know what hit us. In orbit, his fleet began pulling back, panicked, scattered. But Earth wasn't finished. From the moon's hidden base, 3 Black Arrow cruisers launched, stealth ships, designed not to fight, but to infiltrate. They disappeared from radar, curved through gravitational fields, and appeared inside the enemy formation. They didn't fire. Instead, they released a signal-coded noise meant to mimic Threx's Barn's own command chain. alien ships began receiving strange orders. Target friendly vessels. System override. Purge. Initiate reactor core reset. Chaos followed. Ships turned on each other. Fired without warning. It wasn't a battle. It was massive confusion. All planned. All human. Back on Erebus. Captain Reese watched enemy ships blow each other apart. Naira spoke softly. They never expected psychological warfare. Reese replied, "He's not here to think. He's here to kill. That's why he's already lost." On his command ship, Threxus Barn roared, smashing his fist through the display screen. Stop firing on each other. But his command systems were already compromised. Human AI had entered his network. One by one, control panels shut down. Lights flickered. And then, his ship's loudspeaker activated. A calm human voice echoed through every hallway. "You brought fear to our doorstep. We returned silence to yours." Threxus Barn grabbed his plasma axe and marched toward the engine room. He was going to override the core manually. But when the door opened, he stopped. Someone was already there. A human figure, standing alone, wearing black armor marked with silver. Symbols. No face visible. Just glowing eyes behind a helmet. Threxus Barn raised his axe. The figure didn't move. Then came the whisper through his helmet speaker. "You knew nothing about Earth." 10 seconds later, the command ship exploded from within. No escape pod. No signal. Just debris. The galaxy's most feared war general gone. And Earth never fired a missile. On Earth, people watched the sky. What had once been filled with burning alien ships was now peaceful. Clear. Safe. For now. Admiral Cade stood at the main war table, breathing slow and steady. She didn't smile. She only said one sentence. 3 fleets down, 1 general lost. And the galaxy still hasn't learned. Her eyes turned to the outer rim of the map, because something new was coming. Bigger than a general, stranger than a fleet, something no one human or alien had seen in centuries. And Earth would face it next. The silence in orbit was more terrifying than the explosions. Above the smoking remains of the first alien assault fleet, Earth's defense grid hummed with energy. The alien Armada had been shattered within minutes. But now, the second wave stood. Still, they hadn't fired a shot. Thousands of their ships waited in Earth's orbit, silent, unmoving, watching. Colonel Rhea Park stood at the edge of Earth Command's war room, her eyes locked on the holographic feed. "Why aren't they attacking?" She muttered. The alien fleet had regrouped with terrifying discipline. Larger ships had taken front positions, their shielding frequencies rotating in unreadable patterns. Behind them, carrier-sized destroyers formed a ring protecting something. Something big. A red alert flashed on the screen. "Unknown transmission incoming," said Lieutenant Kane. "It's audio only. One voice. No language pattern matches." The transmission began to play. A low growl echoed through the speaker's alien. But not mechanical, not synthetic. The voice was ancient, like stone grinding on stone. Then came the words, translated by Earth's AI as it listened in real time. "You destroyed our first. You must answer to the Prime." All eyes turned to the central screen. The hologram shifted. One massive ship emerged from the carrier ring, larger than anything humanity had ever seen. Nearly the size of Earth's moon, the alien flagship eclipsed the sun for a moment. General Ao stood still, whispering, "Is that a ship? Or a floating fortress?" "No known structure of that size has moved like that," said Rhea. "It's alive in some way." The ship pulsed. A deep thrumming sound reverberated even through Earth's magnetic field. Something more than weapons was being readied. And then Earth responded. The silence in the command room broke when Admiral Reyes stepped forward. "Send our voice," he ordered. "What message, sir?" Ask the communications officer that Admiral Reyes didn't blink. Tell them Earth heard the first scream. Now it's time they heard us roar. Moments later, Earth's own fleet surged from the dark side of the planet, ships that had never seen sunlight. Ships still in testing. Ships powered by antimatter cores and experimental gravitic coils. Humanity had kept its most powerful creations hidden because no one had ever dared to make the necessary dot until now. From Luna's shadow emerged the Helios Spear, Earth's largest railgun ship. Its barrel glowed a violent gold as it charged. Its first round a tungsten spike the size of a skyscraper. The alien fortress began to shift. Shields flared. Cannons unfolded. But Earth struck first. The railgun fired with a soundless flash in space. It took 3.4 seconds for the spike to travel, blurring past light sensors, warping heat signatures. When it hit, it didn't explode. It pierced dot through shield, through armor, through internal decks of the alien fortress, then out the other side. A clean, glowing hole, the size of a tower, blinked open on the prime ship's hull. Inside, something screamed, not in pain, in rage. "Life readings dropping," said Kane, "but not destroyed." The alien voice returned distorted, unstable. "So? Earth speaks fire. Then we shall scream war." Suddenly, the second wave unleashed everything. Beams, missiles, antimatter warheads. Earth satellites blinked out one by one. Over 700 fusion-based weapons raced toward the planet, and Earth still didn't flinch. Atma Defense AI Cerberus activated. Thousands of autonomous defense platforms lit up in the stratosphere. Lasers danced through the sky like angry gods. From deep underground, the Aegis Protocol came online. Admiral Reyes turned slowly to his staff. Time to make history. Fire the hammer. Far beneath Alaska, buried inside a mountain humans had mined for a century, a weapon powered by a rotating quantum core finished its 48-hour charge cycle. It was humanity's final answer to any orbital threat. The grav hammer array fired. The air above the Earth bent. Not burned, bent. A temporary gravity, well open, pulling half of the alien fleet into a descending spiral they couldn't escape. Their ships screamed as they fell, smashed into each other, dragged across one another's hulls. Fire bloomed. In the upper atmosphere, like red lotus flowers, the message was clear. Humanity had not just survived, it had spoken back with thunder, but the alien flagship remained. Its shields adapted, its core shifted, and as it began to split into multiple segments, Colonel Rhea whispered the words that would define Earth's future. That was their real invasion ship. The others were distractions. Back in orbit, the new enemy took shape, and Earth braced for the true war to begin. The sky above the Pacific Rift crackled with strange, unnatural energy. Admiral Lynn Reyes stood at the observation deck of the Saber's Edge, Earth's most advanced command carrier, eyes fixed on the unstable vortex swirling over the ocean. The invaders were trying something new, something they weren't supposed to have. "This isn't their tech," Lynn muttered. "This is stolen." Dr. Enzo Viral, Earth's leading weapons scientist, confirmed it a second later. "Admiral, that energy signature, it's a mirror of Project Annihilator. They've copied our work." Reyes's eyes narrowed. "Then it's time we show them the part they didn't understand." 2 days earlier, Earth intelligence intercepted a scrambled signal sent by the enemy back to their central command. Within that signal was a partial blueprint, an exact replica of humanity's most dangerous experimental weapon, the Singularity cannon. But they had only fragments. They didn't know the price it carried. They didn't know it required a human. Neural command tethered to the weapon's AI, because only a human could emotionally restrain the weapon from full suicidal activation. Now, the alien fleet had mounted a crude copy on one of their stolen flagships. And they were preparing to fire it at Earth's atmosphere. As the stolen cannon charged, Reyes gave the order. Deploy Echo Seraphim. The room fell silent. That name hadn't been spoken aloud since the project was buried. It was humanity's ASA warship with no public record. Not in any databanks. Not even in Earth Command's main archive. Moments later, the air above the Pacific shattered. It didn't descend from orbit. It didn't emerge from stealth. It phased into reality. The Echo Seraphim wasn't bound by normal space. Sleek, black, and shaped like a blade cutting through dimensions. It pulsed with blue heat as its singularity core stabilized. The alien fleet reacted instantly, scattering, repositioning, trying to fire, but the Seraphim was already inside them. It didn't fire bullets. It didn't launch missiles. Instead, it inverted space. One enemy cruiser folded in half without touching anything. Another spun out of existence, trapped in a feedback loop of its own artificial gravity. Even Earth's sensors struggled to understand what they were witnessing. From the command bridge of the enemy's super dreadnought, General Kevel screamed at his sub-commanders. What is that vessel? Why does it move like the void? No one had answers, because no one was supposed to see the Echo Seraphim. It was Earth's final answer to a question never asked. What happens when we build a ship not to win battles, but to erase them from time itself? Back on Earth, panic spread across enemy-held outposts as word of the ship's existence leaked through intercepted comms. Allied colonies rose up. Resistance fighters struck with renewed fury. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a signal that Earth had not only survived the invasion, it had never used its full power. The singularity cannon aboard the alien dreadnought fired. A massive beam, brighter than the sun, tore toward Earth. The Echo Seraphim didn't block it. It caught it and bent it backward. In one unreal twist of quantum fields. The enemy's own weapon disintegrated their dreadnought. A pulse echoed through the fabric of space as their command vessel collapsed into a pinpoint singularity, taking a dozen other ships with it. Admiral Reyes whispered into her mic, voice cold and clear. You want to steal our weapons? Start by understanding our warnings. The invaders had reached too far. They had activated a weapon they didn't understand. And now, the universe had seen Earth's ghost warship, the one even humans had feared to use. But it was just the beginning. Because, hidden deep beneath Mars, there was another vault. And what lay inside that vault was still waking up. The silence in Earth's orbit didn't last long. After the destruction of the Armada's second wave, a deadly calm settled over the planet. But General Reyes knew it wasn't over. They're regrouping, he said, eyes fixed on the tactical display. And this time, they won't make the same mistakes. From the dark side of Jupiter's orbit, long-range human sensors picked up strange distortions. Space itself began to ripple like a curtain in the wind. Within minutes, another fleet emerged twice the size of the last one. But this was not just another attack fleet. These ships were different, larger, armored with black neutron shielding. Their engines pulsed with red energy, unlike anything human scientists had ever recorded before. The High Command called them the Redemption Fleet. They weren't just here to fight. They were here to erase Earth. But they didn't know it was this. Earth had stopped playing defense. That it was humanity's turn now. Captain Amina Langley stood on the bridge of the HSS Stormridge, the newly commissioned deep assault battlecruiser. It was Earth's fastest ship, armed with quantum phase railguns, stealth adaptive armor, and an experimental FTL weapon they hadn't dared test until now. Engage phase drive, she ordered. Her crew hesitated. Ma'am, are you sure? The core hasn't been stabilized yet. Do it. Earth doesn't have time. With a deep metallic groan, the Stormridge vanished into a flash of light. it reappeared directly inside the heart of the Redemption Fleet. On the enemy flagship, the Zarnithi High Marshal rose from his command throne. "The humans have teleported into our formation," he growled. "That is impossible." But impossible didn't mean anything anymore. Not with Earth. The storm ridge unleashed its fury. One by one, massive alien dreadnoughts exploded into fireballs, torn apart by plasma-tipped rail rounds that punched through their hulls like they were paper. It wasn't just a strike, it was psychological warfare. The Redemption Fleet broke formation in their panic. They fired on each other. Chaos spread, and humanity exploited it with terrifying precision. Meanwhile, on Earth, Reyes gave the order. Launch the retaliators. From the underground bases in Siberia, Antarctica, and the Pacific floor, dozens of humanity's secret fleet ships hidden from the enemy's sensors rose like ghosts. These weren't civilian crafts or planetary defense ships. These were the Titan Breakers, designed to hunt God-class ships. Each one powered by hybrid cores made from alien tech stolen during the early skirmishes. Silent, cold, lethal. One of the alien generals, a creature called Threx, who had led over 20 invasions across the galaxy, watched in horror as his own flagship began to shatter. The humans weren't just defending their home. They were hunting them now. "They are not what we were told," he hissed. "No," said his communications officer. "They are worse." Back on the storm ridge, Captain Langley was not done. "Fire the Singularity warhead," she commanded. Her weapons officer looked up. "Captain, that's—" I said, "Fire it." Moments later, a strange black missile streaked out into space and detonated without sound. At first, nothing happened. Then, a micro-black hole opened, consuming everything in a wide radius, including 5 enemy destroyers, a battleship, and part of a gas giant moon. "Target eliminated," the officer whispered. "Good," Langley said. "Now let's finish the rest." On Earth, billions watched the live feed in stunned silence. For the first time in human history, the entire world cheered together. And somewhere in the cold regions of space, surviving alien captains were transmitting emergency messages back to the core of the Galactic Alliance. "Do not send reinforcements. Earth is not a battlefield. It is a trap." But humanity wasn't waiting for them to decide. Reyes looked at his generals. "We hit them before they regroup again. We take the fight to their home systems." They nodded. For too long, Earth had been treated like prey. Now, it was time for the galaxy to feel fear, and the echo of that counterattack would be remembered for generations. The galaxy had never been this quiet. Warships once built to conquer Earth now floated in silence or burned in debris fields near the outer moons. The last of the invading fleet had either fled or been shattered by Earth's orbital cannons, railgun batteries, and cloaked strike wings. But Earth wasn't done. From orbit, the battered but still standing EHS Dauntless hovered above the wreckage. General Kira stood on the bridge, watching silent starfields that once pulsed with hostile energy signatures. "Ma'am," said Lieutenant Hahn, "galactic frequencies are open. Everyone's listening." Kira nodded. "Patch me through." Across 1,000 worlds, from trade hubs to military outposts, species of every kind froze. Civilian broadcasts were overridden. The face of a human appeared, a soldier in armor scorched by fire, face bruised but eyes unbroken. "This is General Kira of Earth. To every species that watched ... or cheered when the Armada came, we know who you are." She stepped forward. "Some of you stayed silent. Some offered fuel to the invaders. Some gave them maps to our colonies. You thought we'd break." Her voice dropped calm, but cold. "We didn't." Earth's enemies had tried to erase humanity in a single glorious strike. But the only thing they achieved was unity. Earth's underground AI networks had rebooted. Former rival nations had merged command structures. Refugees from destroyed cities now built orbital rings. Scientists had activated dormant black site projects that hadn't seen daylight in 50 years. Even Earth's moon had become a fortress. "We crushed the Armada you sent," Kira said plainly. "Not because we wanted war, but because you forced our hand." Then came the moment that sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Behind her, the holoscreen lit up. It wasn't Earth. It was the Andrixa core, the hidden command planet of the Armada. Planners now engulfed in fire. A human stealth cruiser had jumped into their sector. They never even saw it coming. Cities melted under kinetic orbital rods. Power grids collapsed in seconds. Communications went dark. The message was clear. Earth knew who started the war, and Earth had found them. "You started this," Kira said. "We ended it. Let that be the last lesson your galaxy ever needs." The signal ended. For the first time, the galaxy realized something chilling. Humanity hadn't just survived, that it had learned, that it had evolved. And now, Earth wasn't just defending itself. It was watching. Back on Earth, the celebrations were massive, but quiet in tone. No grand speeches, no parades, just a shared look among billions of people across continents. They knew what they had been through, and they knew what might come next. Because if one Armada could come, others might try, but this time, Earth would. Not wait. Terraforming had begun on Mars. Titan's dark labs were being reopened. Human sleeper fleet ships, built in secret for years, were now being woken up. And in the ruins of the first attack, Earth had built something new. The EHS Sovereign, a Titan-class battleship, larger than anything seen before, floated just outside the asteroid belt. She wasn't meant for defense. She was designed for deterrence. Her hull carried scars of the past. Her weapons could silence entire fleets. And her drive systems weren't from Earth alone, because humans had reverse engineered. Alien tech from wreckage. Earth had upgraded. And now the message sent to the stars was not just words. It was steel, plasma, then silence. Don't try again. Because the next time, Earth wouldn't just defend. It would end. End of series.